I have a love-hate relationship with Marvel Rivals, and by love-hate, it's like 90% hate and 10% love. And it's been that way ever since I forced myself to solo tank all the way into Diamond in Season 2. But before I even get there, I need to give the game some credit and talk about the 10% of love I still have in the tank. I'm gonna need a sanity check on this one from anyone who also played Season 0, but I swear to God the game didn't have the matchmaking feel that it does right now in Season 3. Part of the appeal for me and a lot of other players in the early seasons of Rivals was the fact that it was a fresh take on the hero shooter formula that didn't seem to have any sort of hidden MMR or skill based matchmaking system. I remember at the time the phrase optimized for fun being thrown around. Every single character seemed overpowered in their own right. You truly felt like a superhero playing almost every single character on the massive base game roster. Ults that could kill an entire team, abilities that felt weighty, gameplay that actually took what Overwatch set the stage for and turned everything up to 11. You want to play a shark with legs that can kill an entire team with one button in a manner so disrespectful he was donned the nickname Fishler? Go for it. Want to team up with your buddy so that you can chuck an angry alcoholic with kitchen knives for knuckles at the enemy team? Hell yeah, brother, this one's for Jack Daniel. One of the biggest problems that live service games have had is a lack of content and progression, and Rivals wasn't short on either of those. 33 heroes offered to play, 8 really solid maps to learn, character team ups to unlock new abilities for your characters that rotate per season, a fleshed out rank system, Doom match, half of a battle pass, and a personal favorite of mine, the Lord icon. The Lord icon is really cool to me for a couple reasons. One, it incentivizes players to learn more characters instead of just one tricking, and two, it's theoretically a good way to gauge the skill level of a player. But lastly, that's hundreds of hours of content for completionists who want to get every Lord icon in the game, and stuff like that is really cool to me. I wish more live service games would embrace those players. Before the pitiful downfall of Call of Duty, I was the kid playing Black Ops all day trying to get the diamond camo on all my guns. And I would have done the exact same thing for Rivals if it wasn't beginning to reach the exact same conclusion as Call of Duty itself. Of course, people online are going to do what people online do, so there's some toxicity that comes with the label of being a Lord player, shaping into your player's egoing, being expected to carry rounds, even forced to carry with characters you're simply comfortable with unless you want a chat spree of gamer words. Which I hear you saying, in the great words of Tyler the Creator, just close your eyes, turn the chat off. Which to an extent I agree. If you don't want to deal with trash talk in chat at all, then yeah, turn the chat off. But I honestly feel like the toxicity in Rivals is genuinely off the chain. If you search Marvel Rivals Toxic, you'll get countless videos of toxicity that's surprisingly common in a day-to-day match. Especially as a better player playing more competitive or blowout type matches, then you need to ask yourself for a moment, what would happen if all the players who prefer a positive experience in chat turned the chat off? You guessed it, you would be left with an absolute cesspool of squeakers screaming at you to commit self-inflicted Luigi because you didn't heal them when they were 6 feet deep in the Venom's twerking ass crack. If that's all you want, by all means, though the game's already dipping into mixed reviews like balls and soy sauce. And I'm left with the final good thing that I have to say about Rivals for me, and that's ranked. I mentioned earlier that I solo tanked all the way into Diamond, and that wasn't because I didn't enjoy it to an extent. If you were graced with an equal matchup in ranked, it was genuinely the most high octane fist to jaws experience I've ever had with gaming. It was just fucking raw. Just a numbers clusterfuck. 6 players on each team with 30,000 plus damage minimum duking shit out like their lives were on the line. Like your mouse is in the corner smoking a Newport after that one. And that feeling win or loss was absolutely awesome, especially when both teams are good sports about it. I've truly never experienced camaraderie with strangers in gaming quite like I have in these high rank matchups. But the issue is that they're super far between each other, and that's not what matchmaking this game has balanced for any game mode. We need to talk about the virus that infected Marvel Rivals and many other titles, including Call of Duty, which is engagement based matchmaking. If you go look at the Steam reviews right now, you won't avoid seeing multiple negative reviews that only talk about the state of matchmaking in Rivals and don't talk about anything else that has anything to do with the game. There are plenty of heated discussions in Reddit forums between players who think it exists and think it doesn't. I feel like there's a pretty distinct proof based on 300 hours of gameplay and research papers and conferences published by NetEase that penalize long matches and encourages stump games. Let's take a look at the in-match system. NetEase describes their matchmaking a little bit like this. Previous methods focused on creating fair games at all times. They divide players into different tiers based on skill levels and only select players from the same tier for each game. Though this strategy can ensure fair matchmaking, it's not always good for player engagement. In this paper, we propose a novel engagement-oriented matchmaking framework to ensure fair games and simultaneously enhance player engagement. So they believe that SBMM is fundamentally flawed because a fair game might not necessarily be the best option for optimizing player engagement. And to understand the way NetEase's matchmaking works, we need to go back and understand how SBMM works itself. This is the graph that NetEase lays out in their research paper that explains tier-based heuristic matchmaking, or SBMM. Basically, you have your pool of players matchmaking, which gets split up into separate tiers, and then those tiers get paired into matches together and then balanced based on the fairest team ups. It's a simple matchmaking system that's been used in fighting games and competitive shooters for forever. Literally the longest time we have had SBMM in place. It's not something that's new to the game whatsoever. Engagement-based matchmaking is a lot more complex than SBMM though. According to the research paper, EOMM will remove players from the pool, extract representations or playstyles from players' gameplay, and match it against other players with diverse characteristics, and then match you with players that might counter or be countered by your gameplay characteristics. NetEase states in this paper that they believe that rigging your matches is better than a fair game based on classic SBMM. I need to drill that into your skull respectfully and with consent. The paper goes on to describe that they get their data from an anonymized dataset from a popular 3v3 game, and that doesn't have complex matchmaking systems, and that they can collect data based on different tiers of players within different attributes. They then divide players into main and support categories with win-loss accounted for, and then take data on collaboration engagement and long-term player engagement. Collaboration says that diversity teams have a decrease in downvotes when they lose a game, and that regardless of win-loss, diverse teams have a higher chat rate, which shows that diverse teams are more likely to establish collaboration relationships. Remember that this doesn't discern between players who are talking shit instead of actually collaborating with teammates, which would really explain why chat is so especially toxic in Marvel Rivals, considering the chat rate seems to be a factor of their current engagement model, which is fucking nuts. And finally, we arrived at the quote that seals the deal for me, and that's, after every 3 games, we inspect whether the player will quit the game. They take data from 3 win streaks and 3 loss streaks and observe that obviously players who lose 3 in a row are going to leave the match. This is so well documented in Rivals, it's actually insane. I don't understand how people read this and then genuinely think that the fact that they just went on a 5 loss streak after they won 6 games in a row last night is just some kind of coincidence. I actually have rough proof of this in my own game history right now. I left the game for almost an entire season, hop on, win a screen full of games, and then proceed to hop on the next night on stream to lose almost every single game. This isn't just a one-time coincidence on my end, this happens to everyone. And then it feeds off of players who think that this matchmaking system doesn't exist and then puts them into long losing streaks to bolster another player's experience. Since the game's matchmaking systems recognizes that this player will streak a loss in the hope for a next round win, and to bolster that claim, I have not only player experience, but a graph from a game developer conference that NetEase attended that shows that they prioritize shorter games, which in Rivals terms is a one-sided stomp. The faster one team dominates another, the faster the game goes by, even quoting that a close but long match should not be a good matchmaking proposal. Remember those high-octane, long and close ranked matches that made Rivals so special? That's why they're so far between. NetEase literally optimizes close games out of the matchmaking algorithm. It's pure game rigging. Yet there are still players who, despite all of the evidence, refuse to believe that these matchmaking systems exist because NetEase themselves aren't literally telling them, yeah, we rig your matches. I want to move over and look at some of the reactions from members in the community, players who believe it's real and provide anecdotal evidence, and players who don't believe in it, and why skill-based matchmaking would honestly be a better option, as much as I hate to say it. In this Reddit post, a user on r/truegaming posted what he found in terms of rival matchmaking, saying, I've been playing Marvel Rivals since Season 0 as a solo queue player. I've hit Grandmaster 1, Celestial 3, and currently sit between Plat 1 and Diamond 3. He played 120 matches with a 45% win rate and a 28% SVP rate, and got booted all the way down between Plat and Diamond, which also happens to be where I got caught up at when I did my Diamond tank all the way solo to Diamond. He continues to explain that after promotions or win streaks, he would get a noticeable shift in teammate performance. Ultimates cancel randomly, hit detection feels off, and rigged loss cycles and easy matches after demotion. I haven't found anything or felt anything personally about hit detection feeling off, and I don't know if it's just me, but man, I swear ults cancel out randomly. The amount of time that I've went to push into a fight, seeing yellow on the bottom right corner of my screen, and then get into a fight to go to press Q, and then the ultimate is just suddenly gone. It'll be at like 60-70%, but like your brain swears to everything that is holy that motherfucker was just yellow. Maybe it's just on my end. I don't have any clips of it, but I swear to fucking God, this is a thing that does actually happen. I cannot be the only one. Teammate performance is almost my biggest issue with this game. It's not the fact that I'm facing really good players. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is when I'm facing really good players and the game gives me 1 to 2 teammates that are thousands of points under in damage or healing, and then feeling expected to carry round after round. Tanks have been in discussion for a long time in Rivals, and there are players who genuinely believe that tanks should just be able to carry regardless of teammates or matchmaking. And even if it's true that a high skill tank should be able to carry, it's that I shouldn't have to carry every single loss with specific characters even within casual QP modes. It's not fun to hop on for a match with my girlfriend to chill and have fun, and then having to carry for a 2 and 11 character every single round. Win or loss, every single match for a high skill player in QP or ranked is going to be fighting for your life. The casual experience that the community claimed was optimized for fun in Season 0 does not exist in Season 3 due to this kind of matchmaking. The top comment on this post that responds to the criticism of engineered matchmaking is, the human brain is really good at making sense of randomness. Flip a coin 120 times and look at how many streaks you can get. He says that the average player doesn't always perform within that average. My problem with this is that it's not just randomness. These are consistent streaks of full stomps, and we've already shown within the research paper that NetEase came out with that the EOMM system that they can use can characterize players with different playstyles, attributes, and whatever, and even if it was the case that you were using player averages to rig your matches this way, what are the odds that a Grandmaster level player is ever going to play a game within a silver level within the specific match that you played with them? Especially within a matchmaking model that knows what characters you play and when and how you play them. Also, what are the odds that there are so many players experiencing the same stomp-based matchmaking that the game is being review bombed versus the minority of the community specifically on Reddit that think that the matches are as random as a coin flip? It just doesn't make any sense. In a more recent post from a month ago on the Rivals subreddit itself, another player says that Marvel Rivals is the most rigged matchmaking experience ever played and it's not even subtle, which I agree with. The poster explains what I've already talked about with EOMM, but also adds that the game pairs you in a way that tries to maximize how emotionally invested you are. And I think that's true. In order to make a system where you can be this optimized towards match speed, you have to establish what players will leave after multiple losses, and which players will continue playing despite losses. It's the exact same philosophy that casinos use. A casino doesn't make money off of the people who leave as soon as they lose their money. They run off of the people who are trying to chase the high of winning over and over again no matter how much money they lose. Replace money with emotional investment and then add skins, recolors, battle passes, a live service content model, and a really good game foundation, and then boom, you have the Aria Casino of live service games. Activision has been doing this with Call of Duty for years, and NetEase wants a piece of it. And the success of both of those titles sets the precedent to create more games marketed to teens that use gambling level manipulation to extract money and data from their player base in the future. The most annoying part about all of this is that there are people who disregard posts regarding matchmaking and Rivals saying that you're the common denominator of all your games and that you should check your replays about how you can do better. This comment right here came from a screenshot where the guy had SVP in almost every single round despite losing 6 times in a row, by the way. Or just completely disregarding matchmaking concerns by calling players conspiracy theorists, or claiming that anecdotal evidence isn't real evidence, or that players think they're better than they actually are. It's so infuriating to me because there's so much evidence that lays out how this works. like literally calling players delusional and claiming that despite paying for and conducting vast research on a matchmaking model that they paid and put time into to create, that they wouldn't use this advanced predatory matchmaking in their biggest moneymaker. Why would NetEase fund research on tens of thousands of matches in popular PvP games and then build an entire matchmaking model to not use it? These people will ignore common sense and do mental gymnastics denying reality to defend the model they're addicted to. These people literally need gambling intervention. And that's the worst part about this whole ordeal. For decades, there have been anti-gaming activists, political figures, and parents that have claimed and even tried to push laws based on the fact that they perceived gaming to be mindless, addictive, and violent. And between the late 2010s loot box fiasco and now with the slot machine matchmaking and with skins of your favorite character half naked in a teen-rated hero shooter, some of the claims of misinformed anti-gaming activists back in the day may actually be true today. It goes so far beyond one player having a skill issue or a lack of fun in the game. This could harm the entire gaming market. This is literally mind manipulation matchmaking, and that's why it's such a massive problem. But that's my whole take on Rivals. It's a really good game with the seemingly passionate and hungry dev team ruined and overshadowed largely by community toxicity and predatory matchmaking systems. It's super disappointing because that's the third multiplayer game this year I've had to put down despite recognizing how great of a foundation those games have had. And it won't be the last this year, next year, or anywhere beyond that either. If you like my content, I stream on Twitch around 5 p.m. CST, and I have a Discord where I'm trying to build a community of people to hang out and play games with. So join that if that sounds interesting to you. I'm also working on my biggest project yet based on the Radium Girls book by Kate Moore, so stay tuned if you're into those type of videos, and I'll see you guys later.